The Ukrainians, of course, have been very Ukrainian and intelligent about this and said, you know, it ain't all over. The fat lady hasn't sung yet. And they could be quite vulnerable in Kherson. The thing that is surprising, and I think that they, again, prepared the public, national and international, very well with this, they got into Kherson much quicker than they said they would. And this, we now have got to watch it. I mean, haven't we learned something? They're so clever at what you call in conjuring misdirection. They say that, only at the beginning of last week they were saying the really heavy fighting is going on in Donetsk, and there is heavy fighting going on there, and saying, well, things hadn't moved. And they got the reporters saying things hadn't moved in Kherson, and they knew that that things were going to crack. And we don't know how much Russia has had to leave behind in materiel, but far more important, in humanity. I mean, how many prisoners have been taken? Because the figures have gone up and down like a yo-yo. One minute we heard there were 40,000 on the West Bank, then there were 20,000, then they all got out. No, they didn't get out. And the commanders in Kherson yesterday were warning that could be Russians around and have told Ukrainian citizens of Kherson to be very, very careful.
I was going to say, I mean, there was a lot of concern that this could be some sort of trap.
Yes. Again, very clever by the Ukrainian. Information is a major arm of the Ukrainian operation, to the extent that, and I think, as I've said before, that they're only explaining so much of their plans, even to their closest allies. And they've got two close allies in NATO. Number one, the big guy, is the US, and the slightly, well, quite littler guy, but very important, is the UK. And they consult all the time, but they consult about what they want to consult about. And don't tell them the whole picture and the whole story.
Have they always been like this, the Ukrainians? Have they been very strategic and clever?
Ukraine has a great literature. I don't want to go on. It's mostly about Cossacks and gangsters and bandit kings and so on, but very rich, a very rich culture. And they've had such a terrible time, particularly through the late 19th and the whole of the 20th century, off and on, including famines with millions dying, pogroms and so on, that they're naturally very, very suspicious. But there's another side, which is very sort of Slavic from the area. It's very open and slap you on the back and let's have a lot of fun. When you get the Chief Defence Information Officer informing the chief correspondent of the BBC, you know something's up. He is saying what he wants to say.
Yes.
And he is not.
And there's a reason behind it.
And the reason behind it. And he won't tell you all the time what you really should be asking about.